Hi, guys. Well, can you believe it's finally happened? Daniel Levy has left the building. It's been a long time coming. Some would say 25 years. Too late coming. Um, what's going to happen now? Brooklyn Eric. They've been talking about. He's made statements before saying that he's interested in buying into the club, and the club have dismissed it. All the rumours have been dismissed. The former DJ has approached and bought Daniel Levy's 24 point, I can't remember how much it is now, 24.8% stake now, with his 8 Sports Capital. He is the CEO of that company. Whether or not it's going to be the start of big things coming, and this is just the beginning of it, and he's going to make a play. It's going to be really interesting to see what the Lewis family are going to say. Probably that they're not interested in selling. That will be the case, but I'd be amazed if they didn't know about what was going on. But listen, maybe they didn't. Let's be serious. Maybe they didn't know, because let's be honest, the way they treated Daniel, marched him out the building. What does he owe them? He's stated before that he's interested in buying the club, and most people poo-pooed it. What would someone who was a former DJ want with a football club? But he stated that he's really into it, and this is what's going to happen. So let me give you some background on Brooklyn Ehrlich, or Eric, as he's known. Here we are. Let's have a look at him. There he is. So born in Ohio, USA, started as an electronic music DJ and producer, performing internationally. Later worked as an engineer at NASA's Ames Research Center in California, and then moved into technology startups, blockchain and digital media and all of that, and venture investing. In the football circles, he first became widely known when he fronted a consortium attempting to buy Spurs in 2025, when Spurs publicly rejected the approach and issued a stock market statement saying the club was not for sale. What makes him, I suppose, particularly relevant, guys, is the reports in 26 claim that Ehrlich had teamed up with another Hong Kong financier called Ingi Wing Fai to pursue Daniel's stake. Not sure if he's involved, but those reports suggested the consortium had funding available for a deal worth around 1 billion for his stake. I think that's a bit rich, because I think that would include investments. I don't think they're going to pay 1 billion for Daniel's stake, to be honest with you. Look, he's a tech-focused entrepreneur. Some are claiming he's got access to major sports investors, and he's the head of this consortium with others in behind him. He's a really interesting acquisition this is going to be, with him at the helm. Look, this is Matt Law is reporting this. So maybe like at the beginning, I was thinking he's broken this story. How true is it? We don't know. I think Levy's stake is, I thought was around about 29.88%, but I'm not quite sure. He's a passive financial investor, apparently. But look, is this an exciting time now? Let's have a look at some of the comments, guys. Look, this is what we've all wanted. So I've got a feeling that, let's see some of the comments here. My DJ. Is there a DJ in the house? Yeah, I think there is. There's a DJ in there. Guys, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you're here. So it happened. We're going to get it. Well, here's the question, right? How on board are the remaining shareholders in ENIC and the Lewis kids? How are they going to respond to this? Because this is the interesting thing. Are they just going to come in and say, nah, not interested? You can keep your stake. a bit like Daniel, and maybe tried to dilute him? Or is this, I don't know, maybe it's they're just saying that they're not interested, and they've known all along that he's going to buy his stake. It just seems a bit strange to buy up the stake but not know how the other party, ENIC, will respond to him buying up that stake. Does it buy him voting rights? Is it passive? Is it a passive shareholding? Will he end up meeting the Lewis kids? Has he already met the Lewis kids? I mean, the Andy Robertson story is like almost null and void now, isn't it? Let's be honest. But let's see what happens. What is this DJ really buying? Yep. It looks like it's done. Well, it looks like it's done and dusted. I mean, A Sports Capital is understood to be a sports-focused investment and finance business rather than a football club operator. It appears to operate in the growing market of sports finance, where investors provide capital for clubs, leagues, and sports businesses. They have maintained a relatively low profile compared with well-known sports investors such as Sports Republic, V Sports, or major private equity firms active in football. But I think the filings in Company House say that it's definitely gone through. I've messaged him to say congratulations on Instagram, and he's given me a heart. So there's no denial. There's no denial of the story. Look, everyone's gone. I had to go live. What can you do? What can you do? He who hesitates. Yeah, it's the DJ. If you haven't seen him yet, here's the DJ. There he is. Brooklyn Hillick, likes a bit of skiing, likes tech. I think he's involved with SpaceX at one time as well. But just to let you know, so here's the statement that I saw. A Sports Capital today announces the signing of a sale and purchase agreement to acquire 24.99% interest in ENIC Sports and Development Holdings Limited, ENIC, the parent company of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. The transaction is structured through the acquisition of Oakchester Limited, of the entire issued share capital of Warburg Holdings Limited and Larking Limited, pursuant to the sale and purchase agreement. The target companies together beneficially hold 24.99% of the issued ordinary share capital of ENIC. Oakchester Limited is owned by Whitmill Trust Company, Gibraltar Limited, acting as a trustee of the Levy Children's Trust and the Warburg Directionary Trust, which are family trusts established for the benefit of Daniel Levy's children. A spokesman for the 8 Capital Limited stated, "We are delighted to have signed this agreement to acquire a significant stake in ENIC. We look forward to working with the club's shareholders, management, staff, players and fans to support Tottenham Hotspur's continued growth." Look, the fact of the matter is that he has stated previously that he was going to do this deal. So it's not come as a surprise, guys. I think it was back in March when he said that this deal was going to go through, and so we can't. It's happened. It's absolutely happened. Let me just get rid of this this post here. Let me get rid of that. Let's see some of the comments, guys. I'm sure they're coming in thick and fast. Guys, please hit the like and the subscribe button. A 25% stake at Tottenham is worth 650. Yeah, I mean, look, the rumor is that he's gathered a fund worth about £1 billion or $1 billion. I think it's £1 billion. But that would mean that he's got money to put towards investment. The question is whether or not they're in a position to buy all of ENIC's stock, or it's just to sort of sit there and slowly acquire stock. But I'm just trying to work out how this is going to work out, because I don't know, with Daniel being removed, he didn't look like he had voting rights. So are they just buying a 25% passive share in the business? Be interesting to see. Johnny, it's under 25 deliberately, so they aren't considered PSF, person with significant control. They don't have any power to block anything Elite wants to do, such as block it. Yeah, well, I that's what I was thinking. It's a passive acquisition, so they're not gonna be able to influence anything. But it will be interesting to see how the Enoch Enoch kids. I'm going to stop calling them the Enoch family. Kids, they're in the 60s. How they do it. Thanks, Sherm, for that. It's not a majority, so what are they going to do? Yep. They will continue running the club. The interesting thing is whether they will take a dim view of the fact of what's gone on here. There were many rumors that the Lewis kids were going to try and dilute Daniel. So how are they going to stop? How's this investment group going to stop the same happening to them? These are all questions I'm sure that will come to the fore. Investment firm it's owned by Trillia it's Trillia. It's owned by Wing Fight and Gang. Yeah. That look, I think Brooklyn might be this. Obviously, CEO is Brooklyn, but the money's come from Hong Kong. I mentioned that at the beginning. He owns a company called Trill, which is, I think, like a sports company, and they were also linked right at the beginning. But this was going back. I mean, this was going back quite a while ago that this was mentioned, and it was dismissed out of hand. He's consistently maintained, Brooklyn, that he's serious and it will get done and it will happen. And it went very quiet. I think this was going back in February, March this year. But here we are in June. It's dropped. I'd just be interested to see whether or not it's with the knowledge of Enoch or under their noses. They obviously, I'm not sure whether they had an option, first refusal, to buy Daniel's stock, in which case they would have known that there's another significant buyer in before refusing to take up that option. But look, it's a new dawn in the sense that Daniel Levy is gone. He's no longer associated with the club. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him pop up somewhere else at another club. Don't know where, but that would be my guess. And all this declaration of undying love for Spurs will be outed once and for all, because we're never sure that he was. But yeah, I mean, the question is, it doesn't really change much. Because he doesn't have the influence. He can't change the board. He can't dictate anything that's happening on the board. It's just what will happen now. How will they take it? Yeah, I mean, Sherm, they wanted to be involved. And it would depend how much money is really behind this consortium. And whether or not this added pressure to the Lewis family to get out or not. It's hard to say, really. I mean, this has just happened, so there's going to be more and more clarity as things go on. But ding dong, Levy's gone, and yeah, maybe he's going to the NBA. Look, Daniel's gone, and the end of the era. Everyone, who wanted Levy out and Levy gone, he's well and truly gone now. Maybe Levy will buy West Ham. Yeah, he can buy nice and cheap now. Rumor has it that Levy wants to invest in NBA Europe. Yeah, look. Good luck to him. I hope he has more success in basketball in an NBA than he did at Tottenham Hotspur in these 25 years. Because let's be honest, in that 25 years, he has not been a major success. Let's be honest. Guys, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. Let us know your thoughts. But it's gone. That's it. I think they're going to start trying to take over the majority. Look, I think that may be the case. It's whether or not the talk from the Lewis kids that we're not for sale. You know, the old saying, ye protest too much. And the truth is that there is substance to it, and they will slowly look to acquire a stake, which will give them a say. I think it will also depend on what the financial state is of ENIC, and you know whether or not they do have significant money. And if they don't have significant money due to the drop off in sponsorship and things like that, that they might approach the new 8 Sports Capital and say, look, how much money have you got to invest? Say they wanted to invest 100, 200 million in players, and then acquire extra stake. So it's going to be really interesting. But look, the guy says he loves Tottenham. He's been to the stadium many times, been for a few concerts. He's been for the NFL. I don't know if he's done the Skywalk. I don't know if he's done the F1, but he has been to the stadium on numerous occasions. Here we go. Both Ehrlich and Wing Fi, through the Firehawk Holdings Consortium, had separately tabled offers of $4 billion for the club in August of last year. That had funds available to progress. Yeah, I think this is a slow acquisition. My point here is he's declared his ambition, but his ambition, he can say what he wants, what his ambition is. It's whether or not the Lewis kids and ENIC really want to stand firm, dig their feet into the ground and remain. Let's be honest. Now this has come to light. Could we see a situation where change for Tottenham and everyone else gets behind 8 Capital and Eric and Wing Fi and says time for change, and sort of demand that they sell up? Not that you can change it. If they don't want to sell, they don't want to sell. But maybe the pressure will mount now because there's something of substance, especially if they're standing there and they're saying, look, guys, you know, we want to buy up. We want to invest in, I don't know, 300, 400, 500 million pound in the squad and take it to the new level. Then, you know, the pressure is going to be on. That's the same group that wanted to buy the club last summer. Yes, exactly right, Pete. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the chat, and guys, please hit the like and the subscribe button, and let me know your thoughts. I mean, look, guys, you all wanted him gone. He's gone. The trouble is, ENIC is still there. Robertson's been confirmed today. It seems minor news now. He made this statement, and then out came the big news that Levy's gone. The end of an era. I think, look, we all know that the real big news is when ENIC themselves disappear. Not this news, but it's a step in the right direction. I just think that this is the start. Maybe I'm just being too optimistic. We're all ready for change, PH family. We are all ready for change. We've all had enough. But he has stated that he loves the game. He loves Spurs, even before he bought a stake in them. And, you know, as I said, he's been to the stadium on many occasions, flies over, watches games and stuff. And, you know, he looks at the Spurs content. He's spoken to other Spurs content providers on the socials. So, you know, this guy, I believe he's genuine. You know, the old adage, be careful what you wish for. But I think ENIC have had 25 years to jump on and get this club to where it should be. So telling us now, oh, you know, we're going to do this, that, and the other, and we're going to spend money. It's too little, too late now. We need fresh blood. We need fresh ambition. And if they're going to come in and spend big money and give us the players that we've always wanted, then imagine if he... Listen, it's possible. It's all possible. Yeah, this is old top. Genuine top. A genuine top. But don't forget our sponsors, guys, as well. OK Jersey. Mustn't forget them. use code 5 FIV 15 and get an extra 15% off at checkout. But no, this is an original Spurs shirt. I thought I'd pop it on because it's as old as Enoch almost. So well, probably is as old as Enoch. I think all of us are sort of rejoicing at the moment that Daniel's gone, but sort of tempered with the fact and the thought that, you know, is this? It's just a bit of a tease. It's a bit of a prick tease, you know. We're getting all excited, but really, Enoch are not going to change. I think we'll find out really, really soon. I'm just seeing if there's any other news that's come in. Let's see what else. Levy's sold. No, I mean, they're talking about Andy Robertson. It's all great, but I'm not really interested in it. Sorry, Johnny. How can you say that Levy was not a success? How can I say he wasn't a success? I can say he was a success off the pitch, but not successful on the pitch. Look, Taz, mate, I fell in love with Tottenham Hotspur, the football club. When I started going to football, you went through a turnstile. There was nothing here. You stood on the terraces. It was raw, right? Corporate football didn't exist. It was all bollocks, right? It wasn't about how much profit have we made and all of the rest of it. You went there, you watched, and you supported your team. Okay? It's about the football. First and foremost, fans aren't interested in your profit margins and all the rest of it. It's going there and seeing the players that you buy and to be successful. And unfortunately for Daniel, he was more focused on what was going on off the pitch financially and making money. Yes, he built the stadium, but in some respects, the stadium's been a bit of a noose around our neck, limiting us to who we can buy and what we can spend. It was meant to release us so that we could compete with all the big clubs, spend as much money as, you know, Arsenal and all the rest of it. I mean, I know it's not just that, and it's, you know, our recruitment and our, you know, failure to identify proper talent and all that. But off the pitch, he's built an empire. I'll give him that. On the pitch, though, I don't consider him a success. There you go. I mean, I used to stand, I don't know where you guys used to stand, but I used to stand in the shelf. I was quite small in those days. I had a late sprout of growth. So I used to go in there, go on, son, climb under here, and just climb under the turnstiles as he put his money at the turnstile. I'm sure that half the money that went to the turnstiles went in their back pocket. It was all cash. You paid with cash. There was no credit cards in those days when you went in. But look, you know, I think football's moved away from its roots, working class roots, and it's become very much corporate. The price of going to see a football game has just gone mad. And, you know, we are one of the most expensive clubs to watch in the whole of Europe, if not the most expensive. And I just want the football to match the price of what we're having to pay. You know, if you had to pay top dollar to watch a show and it was shit, you wouldn't be going back, would you? But we go back because we're law fans. We go back over and over and over again. We pay year in, year out. So we're entitled to be disgruntled with Enoch and what they've been delivering for the last, you know, 20 odd years. It's enough now. I don't know whether this guy's going to come, you know, is going to come in and things are going to change. But it's the hope, right? There is hope in there that they want to acquire a controlling stake. And let's see. There might be a situation where, as I said before, we don't know whether or not they, what do you call it, this new company have, whether Enoch have the money to invest. And if they can turn round and bring the money, 8 Sports Capital, deliver the money that Enoch don't have to spend, then maybe they'd be prepared to give up some of their stake. But at the moment, we don't know that, so we're pissing in the wind. Let's have a look. Unfortunately, without finance, you cannot succeed. Yeah, it has changed. Daniel's made mistakes. You're not Daniel's PR guru, are you? Listen, look, he said they'll thank him when he's gone. I don't know. Are these guys that have come in worse than what was there before? Bloody right they are. I mean, they barged their way in, they pushed Daniel out. Oh, we can do this, anyone can do this. But they haven't delivered. Let's be honest, they haven't delivered anything to what they said they were going to deliver. And so I'd love to see them gone. Well, there is a chance of that, Ash, because I believe that Daniel owned 29% of the state of his stake was like 29% or 28.9%. So that's entirely possible. I'm sure more news will come out as the day goes on. Well, he's still coys, Daniel. Listen, one thing's for sure, he still can't get in the bloody stadium. I think if Enoch went, he'd be back. He'd be able to come and see what's what. Listen, maybe he's holding out for that 5% because he knows if Enoch sell out, that stake might cost them significantly more. So he's happy to take this money and hold a small stake. Listen, I think he had a fear that, as I said before, that Enoch were going to dilute him. They certainly would have done had he gone to the championship. That's for sure. So I think that as it stands now, it's like a token. He hasn't cut all ties, but he's in essence, his position is weak. Listen, I'm sure we might still see him on the boredom. I still have one share. There's quite a few Magic who have shares. I had one. I think I have like 1 or 10 shares or something that I got as a present donkeys years ago, and it was in a frame. But for the love of me, I can't find it. I don't even know how much it would be worth. There was a few of them. I think you could buy them as gifts, like a gift certificate. I know there's some knocking around. One tentacle. Do you think he's giving them advice? He could put 69 pence. Yeah, it probably is. It is probably worth that. Guys, please hit the like and hit the subscribe button. Yes, Desmond, that's an interesting point, right? So Enoch's divided up into lots of different sections. So I think we'll find that the stadium is in one of the property companies. The overall company that owns Enoch, there's over 200 companies in that, and that is run by Daniel's son. But there's many subsidiary companies that run the women's team, White Webs, the White Webs development, the hotel. So it'd be interesting to see. But look, if you're acquiring a business, right, you've done your due diligence, but it'd be interesting to see what that purchase means that they actually owe of the entirety. So it's a good point. I'm not exactly sure at this stage. Where can I buy your top caps? Just go on to the website. This is a new era cap. If you're interested. Sully, man, what do? You sold your stake. Sold out too early. I can't believe that Lang is talking on the Robertson announcement. I mean, Jesus Christ, man, just get the guy out of the club. Honestly. I mean, what does he want? A medal? Right, a pat on the back, right, for getting Andy Robinson into the club. Go and get a top player and then tell us what you've done, right? I'm not going to give you a pat on the back for Andy Robinson. Sorry, mate. Piss off, right? They're trying to drip feed positive news, right? You want to drip feed us some good news? Bring us in, your Van Hecker or your Savino, right? Or a left field big signing. Drop us a Morgan Gibbs White. Drop us a proper bomber if you want us to get excited that you're actually going to change your ways. Because all we've heard for the last 2 seasons is talk. We finished 17th under Ange. And you win the Europa League, you get the money coming in from the Europa League, you're going to get the money in from the Champions League. And what did we do? We didn't invest wisely, we didn't step up, we didn't make the next move. Our planning was atrocious. We went in for players that we had no chance of. We didn't read the room when it came to Morgan Gibbs White. So many things we got wrong. We messed up the Eze deal. We messed up the Morgan Gibbs White deal. We thought we could go for Semenya. We thought we could go for Morgan Rogers. And the time we faff and mess around, right, everyone's gone and we're sitting there, with their dick in our hands, right? And look at the dearth of how many quality strikers there were last summer. You could have got rid of Richie. Solanke wasn't doing great stuff. You could have bought in a top striker in the summer, but we didn't. Now we're looking at a situation where there's not a massive amount of strikers unless you're looking for your Vlahovics or your Ivan Tonys, or if you can try and prize away an asset from a club like Brentford, like an Igor Thiago, which I don't think is ever going to happen. So, yeah, the club's been in a mess. Yeah, look, Sherman, I actually think the Van Hecker deal is going to go through. I just think that the mutual respect between De Zerbi and Van Hecker, De Zerbi saying how he's got a fantastic talent and how bright he is, great football IQ, and how he can step up to be a top player, and Van Hecker turning around and saying he's changed his whole football life with how he's dealt with him and given him the confidence to be the player he is today. And he cites De Zerbi as being that. So I think that mutual respect on both parties should mean, if this board really are going to back De Zerbi, that they go and get the deal done and pay the bloody money, because they need to. All right, look, we're just being hacked into the same signings that we just did last season, basically. So, excuse me. This cough's driving me mad. Let me just take a drink. Sorry, guys. I think as this as the night turns to the evening, we're going to find lots of other Osimhen. Yeah, I mean, listen, Victor Osimhen isn't coming to Spurs. He's paid around about 300 grand a week net, I think, at in Turkey. They paid him like a Saudi ransom to get him there. We can't match it. We're not in that ballpark. Definitely not. Keep the comments coming, guys. Let me know what you think. Yeah, Harvard educated, based in Hong Kong. Yeah. We looked at him before. He's behind a company called Trill, which is, I think, like gaming. I looked at it, but I actually haven't had time to look back before we went live here. But I think 45. What is this one here? Is it true? Of course it's true, Danny. It's true. I like to play the song now. True. Funny how he lied. Season ticket renewal deadline is tomorrow. I don't think, Cyril, I really don't think the signing of Robertson is going to trigger anything. What you think that maybe Brooklyn Ehrlich has liaised with ENIC to announce this so everyone signs up? You never know. It might do. As I said before, I don't know whether or not they had first option, ENIC, to buy up Daniel's shares. So let's see what this is. Illich is similarly well backed and can best be described as a challenger investor, having graduated. Yes, I've said this before. He's an electrical software engineer. I can read out some of the things that have come out. Hang on a second. Let's see what else we've found here. Let's have a look at Wing Fei. See if I can find on Wing Fei. Wing Fei. Let's see what they say about him. Trill. Okay. So Wing Fei is a Hong Kong businessman, right, who has emerged as one of the most serious parties linked to Tottenham Hotspur. He fronted a consortium through Firehawk Holdings, which is the one that was mentioned before, that tried to buy ENIC in 2025. In early 2026, as we said before, he looked to buy Daniel's stake. Bloomberg reports describe him as a Hong Kong businessman leading the consortium interested in buying his stake. I'm trying to find where else, if there's anything about him. Give more details. We did a deep dive into him way back, but it just went dead. And so, like, we just thought, that maybe, nothing happened. As you said, he's a Harvard educated billionaire with a background in mergers and acquisitions, a senior figure in Asian private equity and corporate finance, and someone with extensive connections to Asian institutional and high net worth investors. Unlike Ehrlich, who has a very public technology and entrepreneurial profile, NG appears to have built his wealth through investment, acquisitions, and corporate transactions. In September 2025, Tottenham officially confirmed that a consortium led by Roger Kennedy and NG Wing through Firehawk made an approach to buy ENIC, which was thoroughly rejected. This was not a rumour. It was acknowledged in an official club statement. That tells us NG has serious enough backing to get Tottenham's attention, especially if he's got a £4 billion fund to bring it us. But look, I don't know what I don't know at this stage what the plans would be. It just seems a bit strange that someone with that serious amount of money would spend that sort of money to take a passive stake with no say on the board at all. I just think that, maybe, just maybe, that there's more breaking news. What's this? Tottenham Tacoma for Martin Buterina. We'll come on to that later. I'm copy and pasting from this, Johnny, if you want me to share it. Yes, please, if you can. That would be great. A seat at the table with the Lewis family hopefully forced their hand to stretch spending, especially after last summer's rumours. He obviously wants success. Look, I just think that it's what we wanted. It's one foot in the door. And if he can wedge that door open and force them out, then happy days. As Sean always says, and I always said, you've got to be careful what you wish for, though, because, talk is cheap. Are they going to force their way in and be like a Clear Lake Capital and be absolutely clueless as to what they're going to be doing? Or have they already approached the type of people they want to bring in with a football background? One thing's for sure, you would not be... I'd be shocked if they wanted someone like Vinay. They'd probably bring in their own people. Half the board may disappear if they were to manage to take over the company. Wouldn't have thought they would try to replace the manager after what he's done. I'd be interested to see what might have happened had they gone down. I mean, this has obviously been in the pipeline for a long time. Do you think Daniel was watching that last game against Everton, absolutely pooping himself? Because if they went down, that 650, 1 billion, or whatever the fee turns out to be, would have just collapsed. But begs the question, would they still have acquired his shares? Because one would think that Daniel would not have been interested to sell at that price, and so they maybe wouldn't have been able to get in on the club. Interesting to see. I have listened to the Klinsmann podcast. I haven't listened to it all yet. Guys, give us a shout if you've got anything else to say about all of this. There's plenty going on. Yeah, Kicks TV. Let's all hope that don't even get me. Please don't get me started on Stelligation. Right, Stell's not here, but for me, Stelligation was the most idiotic thing I've ever heard in my life. Right, I want my club to succeed. A near fatal car crash where we nearly went down and they lost £250 million is for me enough of a thing to worry about. So let's see what happens there. Thanks very much. Okay, I'm just going to look at the article now that you've sent me. Hang on, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Hang on a second. I'm just looking to see if I can find. Just trying to find your. Have you sent it to me on Instagram? I can't actually bloody find it. Where is it? Have you just sent it? I can't see that. Nope. I can't find your article. I'm not sure where you sent it. No, can't see it. I can't see it. Ennis, sorry, mate. It's a bit of a bugger there. I don't know what your Instagram is. If you message me on what your Instagram is, and then I can. You've just sent it. Let me just have a look again. Let's have a look. Sorry, guys. I'm going to try and read it out if I can find it, but it doesn't seem to have come through for some unknown reason. No, I've got nothing yet. Got nothing yet that's come through. Apologies, guys. Super chat, choo choo to you, Dean Law, for a super sticker. Thanks very much, guys. Dean, always a massive supporter of everyone in the Spurs community. Guys, how are we feeling? It is a token that he's gone, but exciting that new people are coming in. Scalvinus is my handle. Let's see. I'll find it if I can. Let's see. Scalvinus. Have you sent it to? Have you sent it to my Instagram or to the X account? Because I can't find it. Can't find it. Yeah, let's have a look. Scalvinus. No, I can't find it. No, it's not come through. Let's try one more time. No, sorry, hasn't come. Let's see, guys. I mean, what are we thinking now? Sent it to Instagram. I don't understand where it's gone. Cannot see where it's gone. I'm going through them now. And I've if you knew how many Instagram messages I get a day, I can't actually find it. Let's have a look. No. I've got Brooklyn Ehrlich, but there you go. But not. I can't see yours for some unknown reason. Not sure why. Bit of a nuisance. Quick for people just on. Daniel sells on how much, and leave the agreed story. Okay, guys, but I'll do it again for people that have just joined. Okay. Apologies if you have just joined and you're in the middle of this. Okay, so according to Matt Law and announcement by the club. Here we go again. I will get the story up. 1 second. Media assets. Here we go. Okay, so I'll read it out again. Okay, so 8 Sports Capital Limited today announces the signing of a sale and purchase agreement to acquire 24.99% interest in Sports and Development Holdings, the parent company of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And as pointed out by the guys in the chat, Daniel did actually have 29.99%, but he's retained 5%. And he sold him 24.99. The transaction is structured through the acquisition of Oakchester Limited of the entire issued capital of Warburg Holdings and Larkin pursuant of the sale and purchase agreement. The target companies together, beneficiary 24, blah, blah, blah. Basically, the people involved in 8 Sports Management, Sports Capital, should I say, are Brooklyn Eric and Wing Fi. And for those of you out there who don't know who Brooklyn Eric is, this is him. He is, let me give you the lowdown on Brooklyn. Okay, so he is born in America, obviously. He's had a career. He started off as a DJ, believe it or not. Has got a career spanning music, technology, aerospace, and investing. I think he was working at SpaceX at one point. But he started as an electronic music DJ and producer, performing internationally. He later worked as an engineer at NASA's Arms Research Center in California, and then moved into technology startups, got involved with blockchain, digital media, and venture investing. In football circles, he first became widely known when he fronted a consortium attempting to buy Tottenham in 2025. So, you know, this has been a year in the making, this approach. Tottenham publicly rejected the approach and issued a stock market statement saying the club was not for sale. What makes him particularly relevant to Spurs is in 2026, he claimed that he had teamed up with Hong Kong financier Nguyen Wing Fi to pursue Daniel Levy's Enix shareholding rather than the entire club. So he's never stated that he wants the whole lot, but he just wants that part of it, whether or not it's just an in to begin with. He's got access to major US sports investors. So whether or not this will be the start and they can bring others on board to invest in 8 Sports Capital, be interested to see. But look, it's an unknown quality. But the consortium he fronted was Firehawk Holdings, should I say? And it's been quoted on Bloomberg and various other sporting outlets about this. So let's see some of the other comments, guys. I'm sure there's plenty going on down here. Let's have a look. Last night a DJ saved our club. Last night a DJ saved our club. Eric. Oh, there. Listen, future music sounds. Johnny Eric. Okay, I get it. Eric, not Ehrlich. Matt Law has deleted the tweet. Well, if he's deleted it, then fine. But there was a statement which I read out before, which was from where was the? Let's have a look. Where was that statement from? Trustee of Daniel's Family Trust. Well, there you go. That's the statement anyway. So if the statement's false, then, you know, there'll be a lot of people talking about it with no right to. Good one there. I'm amazed, Dennis, you remembered that. Andrew's right. The club was becoming a nightclub. Maybe with Brooklyn coming in, he will probably change some of the music. I Can't Smile Without You. I don't mind the song, don't get me wrong, but it's not uplifting. You need like a banging anthem. Maybe he can come up with someone. Maybe he can get on the turntable before the game. You know, spinning some tunes before the game. Be interesting to see. If he's deleted it, so be it. So be it. Guys, let me know some more thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking about this. Wife away all weekend, might get into all sorts of trouble unsupervised. I think I think Rob Harris, I think it's true. Look, there's a lot of people poo-pooing it. I don't think we should be questioning the fact that it's happened. I believe it's happened 100%. What I think we need to be talking about and questioning is whether or not that the board are going to take favourably to this, or are they not? If they don't welcome it, and they're not happy about it, and Daniel's done it with that behind their back because they didn't need to notify him, I don't know. But the board have known for a long time of their intentions, so it's not been a secret. You know, he's been beaving away behind the scenes for months on end. So I don't think you can dismiss it. The question is, will ENIC go to them, or will Brooklyn and Wing Fire's investors, and the amount of money they may have behind them, rumored to be up to 4 billion, come in and offer to buy the rest of the stake in there, or leave them with a bit of stake? You know, maybe they're willing to invest, 300-400 million into the club, in which case acquire a larger stake, but still leaving in it with the majority of the stake, but with this new eight Sports Capital with at least a say on the board. It'd be interesting to see what goes on. Yeah, thank you. It's all been confirmed. I like Gapco. Is Sean in mourning? No, Sean's not in mourning. Listen, I can't speak for Sean, but I'm sure he's still here though. He's got 5%. Look, it's happened, guys. Right? It's happened. Okay. Daniel's still there with his 5%. The deal's happened. The big question is, why did they buy a passive stake in the club if that's all they want? I mean, to spend all that money and just say, oh, I've got a stake. I can understand why Daniel's got a stake. He's built it up from bugger all to hundreds of millions of pounds. Yeah. So I totally get why he sold his stake. But what is the point of acquiring all that stake for a considerable amount of money just to sit there? It makes no sense to me. Unless they, as I said, unless ENIC are well aware of this, and in the background, they have always been willing for them to come on board, and for them to, maybe we'll see in a couple of weeks' time or a month's time, I don't know, them acquiring a little bit more of ENIC's shares. We really don't know what ENIC's situation is. You have to remember, we've got like £1 billion worth of debt. That might be restricting to a lot of what ENIC can really do at the moment. And this injection of cash might free them up considerably. And it might be a huge temptation that they can't resist. Or they're pissed off that this has happened, and we shall hear all about it. Yeah, they'll bring in top people. Crazy Days Transfers has been. Look, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me to spend that money to buy a passive stake. Would Daniel sell with a proviso that he gets a position when they buy them outright? I don't know. I don't think that would go down very well. Can you imagine the return of Daniel Levy, a fanfare coming out the tunnel? As welcome back, your CEO, Mr. Daniel Levy. No, 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 no. I can't see that one going down well. I think that would go down like a pork sandwich at a bar mitzvah. No, 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 no. I can't see it. I can see him being allowed back into the stadium, which he's not allowed to do as we speak. But I think, yeah, I believe, Lee, this is a slow takeover. We just don't know. As I said before, we know that they were trying to sell a stake to bring money in, but this hasn't brought any money into the club, right? Daniel was looking to sell an investment stake to bring money into the club for reinvestment into the players. This doesn't bring a penny in for the players, so everything remains the same financially as it stands. I'm just waiting for the response from the Lewis family, and I think that's going to be crucial. Yeah, look, yes, it gives them a valuable asset, but for Daniel, it was a massively valuable asset because all his money was tied up in the shares, right? For them, how do you turn that? If they're valuing it at say 3.5 billion, right? Where's the capital growth in that at the moment? The money in stadium naming rights isn't there. The money in shirt sponsorship, as we've seen with Chelsea, really struggling to get shirt sponsorship. Spurs are going to struggle to get the money that they got for AIA. So where is the growth? We're on maximum events at the moment, so be interesting to see where they see growth coming from when they're paying top dollar for those shares. Excuse me, I got a bit of a cough. What else we got? Well, we'll have a look. You're not actually here first, Hinar. Levy will buy into new NBA Europe. It's been mentioned by quite a few people in the chat, not to diminish your comments. Switchblade, it might be a slow and steady takeover of Tottenham Hotspur, similar to historically what the Kroenke did over a span of 10 years when they took control over Arsenal in a slow manner. If it's 10 years, I'll be in a bloody wheelchair, Switchblade. I'd like it a little bit quicker than that. I'm sure we all would. Let's, like I said, change for Tottenham. Now, if Brooklyn and Wing Fi declare their ambition is greater than the ambition of, say, what ENIC is, and I think we all believe that, then they're going to get behind them and ask for change, and that could get ramped up. Change for Spurs could really get ramped up. Yeah, but the difference is he's bought in and he has got to say Spurs don't travel. What's the difference between Jim? Does he look like a silent partner to you, Jim Ratcliffe? He's got rid of all the credit cards. He's got rid of all the players coming in and getting a nice wage. He's got rid of the canteen. He's got rid of Mills. He's got rid of Alex Ferguson on $1 million a year. He's massively cut everything, and he's calling the shots, but he's also investing the money. So, yeah, I would say that Jim Ratcliffe, as an agreement at Man United, is vastly different to here because he's only got Daniel Levy shares. He hasn't got an agreement with ENIC as it stands, as far as we know. There's no agreement with ENIC that he's going to take control and start doing the expenditure and the hiring and firing. So, no, I don't think so. Yeah, Todd Bowley. He could have bought Spurs. He tried to buy Spurs. Can you imagine the mess that we would have been in? Yeah, Fetty, I agree. Let's hope it doesn't get messy because we've had enough messy, but it would be really Spursy if it did get messy. Let's hope for it. It's nice and smooth. Right, so Kicks TV. Right, so you're 100% right. They need to partner up for the hotel. It's part of the 2028 agreement for the Euros for us to stage the tournament at the stadium. And as we know, that stopped in its tracks. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Kevin does Glazer. We're looking leave and take. I don't know what that is there. I don't know what that is. Guys, please hit the like and subscribe button if you're here for the first time trying to grow the channel. Really appreciate all your support. Couldn't do it without you. Let's see what else. Let's see how the chat. Yeah, Nicholas, it does smack of a takeover at some point, but at what point? We don't want to be sat here in 2 years' time and we got a passive investor on board that can't actually do anything. It's not gonna help the club sign anybody. My hope is that they offer money to ENIC to invest that they maybe don't have, capital, free capital, and then for that money they acquire a stake or a seat on the board to have some sort of say in the running of the club. That would be my hope, and then maybe a small, slow acquisition. Yeah, look, Kroenke though. Whatever you want to say about Kroenke, he's won at every club, I believe, that he's gone to. So, what's this? Hey, you needed a way to start the takeover process at Tottenham from ENIC. This might be the start of it. Look, I think we're all in hope that this is the case. We really do. What you say about Kang-in Lee? No, I don't think so. Let's have a look. What else we got? If they are pumping money into improving the team, that's all good. Look, I think this is going to come to the fore. I think a statement has got to be forthcoming from ENIC and or from Brooklyn and the 8 Sports Capital. One of them has to say something. We can't just say they've acquired it through the news. Surely there will be a more in-depth statement as to their intentions from them, and maybe also from ENIC. We have no interest in, we're going to repel them. They have no say in the club, blah, blah, blah. I think we're going to have some to-ing and fro-ing. Hopefully we have some synergy on the statements from both parties, that they're both aware, they'd be happy to work together, so on and so forth. That would be the more interesting story, rather than Brooklyn and co saying that Brooklyn, who's the CEO, Wingfight, is sort of in the background more, saying, you know, I want to take over the club, and the others saying we've got no interest. So we'll have to wait and see. Stop. I'm not repeating that one. The DJ works with the Clippers owner. He's rich, but not the best PR at the moment. Look, this club has got the worst PR of any club probably in the Premier League. So anything is a step up. Even even the level of the Clippers would probably be a step up from where we are right now. Let's see. It needs to happen quickly. We'll be stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea, which would not be good for the club. I agree, Nicholas. Look, all we can do right now is really speculate. That's it. That's all we can do. We can't do anything else but speculate on what's going on. And I think that's what we're doing here. Steve Ballmer sank the Clippers. Not good news. One would hope, though, guys, that seeing what happened with Clear Lake Capital and some of the other investors, that the Americans have seen the mistakes. If you're doing your due diligence and see where Clear Lake Capital went wrong or are going wrong still, they have to understand football. You know, it's all very well being great at finance, as we've seen with Daniel. You know, he's absolutely spot on with finance, but when it comes to understanding the bloody game of football, which is what we are a football club, not a financial institution, then they'll be okay. But they have to invest in the club. A successful football club draws in sponsors, TV money, and everything else. It follows. If you don't invest in your football club and you start to fade, everything else fades with it. Everyone wants to be part of success. Right now, Arsenal are fighting off sponsors left, right, and centre. Everyone wants to be part of the club. We are knocking on the doors. We're employing people, begging them to come and sponsor us. That's not where we need to be. Why is that the case? Because we have not been successful. Yes, we won the Europa League, but we've been on a steady decline since 2019. We haven't learned any of our lessons that of the mistakes we've made over and over again, and we all want a fresh slant on it. And these guys that have come in now, who promised us new Spurs, new regime, not only is it not a new regime, it's much bloody worse than what was there before. And so we all want a fresh start, but the new owners that have got to come in have to come in with football people who understand football, okay? Top people, not recruiting people on LinkedIn, okay? Go and get top recruitment agencies to buy the best in field, offer them the money, the best recruitment. Go and get Pinto at Bournemouth. I mean, look at his record over and over and over and over again. I mean, what are we doing with Johan Lang and Sebastian Kerl? Okay, you want to be the best, you go out and buy the best or acquire the best. But we have a loser's mentality. We're always looking for cheaper or value, or go in, break the bank. When you're looking at your recruitment people, is it any wonder because you buy shit recruitment, when you go and buy the players, they're crap or they don't live up to what they should be. And so it's no surprise, because you can't say Spurs haven't spent money, because they have spent money, but they pissed it all down the drain. They pissed a lot of it down the drain. A lot of the players that we have bought recently will be lucky to get our money back. It's as simple as that. Let's see what else said. Johnny Enid wants the sports club entertainment. Exactly, Keith. Right? We want a football club, okay, a successful football club. And with a successful football club, everything off field follows. I don't mind the NFL. I don't mind the concerts. It's great. Extra revenue. Fantastic. I'm never going to knock that. Why have a club that only makes money, 38 days a year? I mean, that's nonsensical. So I'm all behind all this, but I'm not behind where all the focus is on that and not what really matters, which is the football. Without it, everything else is irrelevant. Yeah. I mean, this is it. 2019, when Poch said, it's a beautiful house, but my furniture is old and needs changing. It was the opportunity. It was the chance of a lifetime to speculate. We were at the pinnacle. We were punching, sure, but we should have made, taken advantage of that situation and bought top players, and listened to the manager that had delivered so much. When he said he wanted to get rid of Dele Alli and some of these other players, who was Daniel Levy to turn around and say, no, not on my watch, right? Because he was a fan favourite. Unfortunately, the fans aren't privy to what goes on behind the scenes. And there's a very good chance that Poch already knew what was happening with Dele, which is why when Jose Mourinho came in, we saw in the documentary early doors when he sat Dele down, there was obviously, he knew already that there was something wrong, and it was part of the decline. And, at that time when Dele was, on it, had they sold him when Poch said, we might have got 50 million for him. We've never been a great selling club, but we've been a very good club at spending massively over the top to acquire substandard players, because our directors of football have not been good enough. It's as simple as that. Barmer got a discount buying the Clippers because the previous owner was a creep. Now, look, we don't know who's also in the background. It says a consortium. But we do know that Brooklyn Eric is the CEO of 8 Sports Capital, and he will no doubt be the representative. There's a lot of NBA chat in here. What's happening with the hotel? Well, it was put on hold because basically they wouldn't have been able to finance it. It's as simple as that. Here we go. Let's try and add Lubo if we can. Are you there, Lubo? Where are you? Hang on a second. 1 second.
Hi, mate.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go, Lubo.
You're right.
Yeah, all good. Well, what do you make of the news?
Very good. Very good.
Well, is it? I mean, Daniel's still keeping 5%.
Correct.
He's keeping 5%, but like the question really is here. First of all, we always ask the question, does the Enoch family have first dibs on his shares, right? That was the question that we know none of us really knew. So the point here is they've 100% have approached 8 Sports Capital, have approached Enoch and been rebuffed. But they would have known about their interest, and obviously they would have known about Daniel trying to sell the shares. So the point here is it going to be a happy family get together? The other thing is Daniel also knew, Lubo, that they were trying to dilute his holding, right?
They're trying to dilute all the shareholders' holdings.
Yeah. So this is it. So can you believe that someone would look? We all know why Daniel sold his money, because he was worried. All his money for what he invested to what he gets out now. Unbelievable deal. Fantastic. Good luck to him, right?
Yeah.
But for these guys that are coming in, they're going to come in. There's a chance that Enoch will start to dilute them. There's not much they can do about it. But have they already had conversations with the board and offered them money to invest in the squad because they don't have that liquid capital to spend?
There must have been talks between Brooklyn Eric and the board. Must have been, because they're not going to just put money in and not have any say. So there must have been agreements in place for them to buy Daniel, to buy 5/6 of his shareholding. So pretty good. Delighted with it. The way it's worked out, he's not involved. So I suppose he's looking at it thinking, well, these are shares it's like dead money. So he may as well liquidate and get the money in. So don't blame him for 1 minute. And hopefully, if it means, will it mean a situation like Man United, where the Glazers sold 25% and they're letting Jim Ratcliffe basically get on with running the club on a day-to-day basis? I presume the Glazers have the big say over the big money signings and the big money purchases, etc., expenditure. But maybe this is the first part of a takeover.
Yeah, I just think that a statement one way or the other from either side of the club is going to be really important, right? I messaged Brooklyn before and said congratulate. Second I heard it, and he just gave me a thumb up and a heart, right? But we haven't actually heard from him as yet as to what his big intentions are. It just seems crazy to spend 650, 700 million plus on acquiring a passive stake with no say in the club, because let's be honest, Daniel had no say in the club. He had no seat on the board.
You mentioned the amount there. You mentioned the amount. The report I read, the amount hasn't been confirmed yet, has it?
Well, there's various reports of numbers. Okay. They were going to make a bid, a rumoured bid, that the fund with Wing 5 was rumoured to be around £4 billion. 4 billion. Okay. So with 4 billion, you know, you're looking at it. You know, I would think I would think that look, Daniel was looking for $1 billion for his dad, which I think is
Yeah,
way too rich, in my
yeah.
opinion. But if the 3.5 billion is to be thought that was right, then maybe that number is right. But I can't see them paying that. They will be looking for a discount for a passive stake in the business.
Well, they've obviously done their due diligence.
Over a year, yeah.
Sure. So for me, they've looked at it. They'll see where the finances are at the moment. How much would they? I mean, three and a half billion is an 875 million injection, isn't it? Investment. So we'll see. No hotels. No hotel meant no Euro 28 games. Correct.
Yeah, look. So what I
Yeah.
can tell you is this is 100% spot on that the hotel was put on hold and everything to do with it. They were looking for outside finance at one stage because let's be honest, if they'd have gone down, they would not have had the money to build that hotel. I believe all capital projects were put on hold. That includes Whitewebs, the Hotspur Way development, and the hotel. So yeah, 100%. This would have come to a halt. Now that this has come in, this is why I'm wondering whether or not, Lubo, that they have already spoken and said, look, I know you don't want a takeover per se, but we're willing to put down 200 mil into the company if you give us a seat at the table to have a say of somewhat in the running of the club. Otherwise, for me, it's just why would you tie up that amount of money just to sit there? I know it earns money. I know it. I know that the amount of money that they can earn is great, but you're buying at the peak. I mean, we've seen stadium naming rights, no interest, shirt sponsorships dropping off of a cliff. Spurs have got a shocking deal that Daniel signed on with Nike that runs for another 7 or 8 years. That was terrible. So we're at the maximum amount of events. We're at the maximum amount of NFL. So I don't see where the growth is for income at the moment. And in fact, it's going to be going down with no European football. So I would love to know what price he was buying in at. And I can't believe for 1 minute that he didn't buy in at a discounted rate because Daniel wanted to realise his money. It's all profit for him.
Of course it is. Of course it is. I mean, did he put any personal money in, or did the Lewis family? Did Joe Lewis put the money in for Daniel through the years with all the share rights issues? Because they put in 350 million up to now. And bought, what was it, 87.12% of the shares in Tottenham Hotspur. So for me, if Daniel hasn't put anything in, then I presume this is pure profit, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you would be mad, right? Look, if you've put in, say you've put in 10 million or 20 million, right? Whatever, 10 million, say, and suddenly you're sitting there and you think it's worth $1 billion and someone's only offering you 870 million or 700 million. What are you going to do? Really? Right? I'm out of here.
Sure. Well, if Joe Lewis has put in 70% for him and 30% for Daniel, then I presume that whatever has come in for Daniel's shares, one will presume that 30% will go back to Joe Lewis.
Yeah.
Because that would be a director's loan, wouldn't it, from one director to another? One would presume.
Yeah, all we can do right now is unfortunately speculate as to what is potentially going on here because we haven't had a comment from Enix board and we haven't heard a comment from them themselves. So, but look, here's the guy. Here he is. Is there a DJ in the house? I was just saying, Lubo, like maybe he'll come out and spin a few tunes on the opening day of the season. and we'll get rid of Can't Smile Without You, because
That'd be
I'd
good.
like to, yeah, because I'd like to see something else played at the stadium. But look, it was nearly disaster. The shit nearly hit the fan. We got Robinson. I mean, what do you think about Johan Lang wheeling out Johan Lang for this Robertson thing? I can't even watch it. I was told about it. I can't even watch it. Robertson's lovely guy, great professional, but wheeling this guy out. Come on, guys, right? Get him out of here quick.
I know.
We want to get a pat on the back for signing a 32-year-old.
Do you know what? I just get the impression things should improve this summer with De Zerbi. I'm sure De Zerbi will identify certain players that he wants. But it's extremely worrying when, for me, it appears you've got a DOF who's got a limited notebook with contact numbers in. You know, we're going back again for Savinio. I believe they're going back in again for Morgan Gibbs-White, which would be, I mean, that would be a great buy if we manage to get him at the second time.
Can you see him? Sorry to interrupt you. Can you see any way in any world whatsoever that Marinakis authorises the sale of Morgan Gibbs-White and Elliot Anderson? Because I can't.
Probably not. You wouldn't have thought so.
No.
You wouldn't have thought so. It's a bit like, you know, people are talking about how many of our forwards will De Zerbi get rid of. Well, he'll probably get rid of one, not two.
Can you not put them on eBay and see who comes up with the best bid?
Do you reckon?
Fucking hell, shut up and just, I mean, come on, guys. Like, none of them are good enough.
I know.
You see, this is an interesting one. Lewis' family for years might have been swindled by Daniel Levy for a long period of time. Then when they saw it actually happening, they got rid of... You ain't a million miles away, Switch, because the investigation was into Daniel, and then he was marched off the premises, not allowed to go back into the training ground. All his stuff was sent to his home, wasn't allowed in the stadium. Maybe they'll be happy to work with Brooklyn, Eric. I mean, there is that possibility. I mean, the fact that they made the statement that they're not for sale and they've got no interest in selling, and then he turns up having purchased Daniel's, 24.99% of Daniel's stake. I mean, he's declared it that when I had messaged, I think in February or March, he said he was still actively doing it. And I just thought, he's a DJ, John. Like, you know, get real. But he is real.
Yeah.
And he has done it.
How solid is this information? If the club haven't said anything and the purchaser hasn't said anything, so, you know, what's the story here? How definite is this?
No, it's 100%. It's 100%. Yeah. Okay. I'm not even. It's been, look, Lubo, right? Just to show you here. I don't want to keep going through this one because I've read it all over again. Okay.
Oh, fine. Fair enough.
Okay.
Now it's a sale of a safe and purchase agreement.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. So, you know, I'm not going to read it all out again, but
and all of that is Daniel's stake. Yes, that's all. The whole lot is Daniel's.
Daniel's stake. There's no mention of any other stake other than Daniel's. Guys, if you're here at the moment, please hit the like, hit the subscribe button. You know what to do. Your support is much appreciated. And like, if you hit the like and hit the subscribe button, it helps the algorithm and helps us grow the channel, which is what Lubo and I are trying to do currently. So let's have a look here. They were good enough to get 5th, good enough to get Europe, good enough to win a trophy, good enough to get UCL. Scooby, it's nice of you to pop on and comment on behalf of the Enoch family. Much appreciated. But success is not finishing 17th twice and not having a steady decline since 2019, or be burdened with £1 billion worth of debt, which is like a concrete tie around our neck currently. You know, and we just look, whatever. I would rather never have to talk about finances ever again and only have to talk about the one thing that we all fell in love with this club over: football. Success on the pitch leads to financial success off the pitch. That's it. There's no magic bloody formula.
No, that's
the
right.
way it's always been.
Well, this may well be exactly what Spurs are doing.
It could be, because they'll inject the money, but he ain't going to put the money in, Lubo. They're not going to put the money in without. I mean, can you see them buying Daniel Stake and then putting in 200-300 million without acquiring any additional stock or a seat on the board? They would need to have control.
I think definitely a seat.
Ratcliffe's got some control, doesn't he?
Yes, definitely a seat on the board, that's for sure. And whether there'll be a deal to buy a certain amount of shares at a discounted price or at the current price or whatever, going forwards, which means that you pick up the shares, you can pick up the shares in 2 years' time at today's rate, at today's price. So, there's so many different ways of doing of cutting the deal here. So we'll wait and see. It's interesting. At last, something's happened. I did say, didn't I, that I did feel that they would sell. It's only a quarter of the club, and Brooklyn Eric has already. I mean, he's paid out whatever he's paid out to Daniel. He's immediately responsible for a quarter of £1 billion worth of debts with his shareholding.
Not sure. Look, Reese, good to see you here, guy. My mate, as always, supporting the channel. Look, Brooklyn's been to the games, many of the games. He comes to the NFL as well, but he does come to the games. He does watch the games. If you've ever looked on his Insta, you'll see him watching some of the games, and this is going back over a good few months. So I believe he is interested in the game. He says he loves the game. He loves Spurs. He stated that a long time. But obviously, when you have financial investors, that has to count for something, but it's getting the balance right. When you look at someone like Clear Lake Capital, the investors in that and some of the money people have just come out and said, we're in it for the money. We're in it for the money. That's not what fans want to hear. We don't want to become a player trading company like Chelsea. Bring 7 players in, take 5 players out, buy another club and swap backwards and forwards all day long, right? We want to build something. It hasn't worked for Chelsea because the chopping and changing. One would think maybe when they bring in Alonso now, and he has more control. I mean, he had a situation where Maresca was being told when to substitute Cole Palmer. He couldn't say anything. He was told to be quiet, and he was getting letters from the board. He kept quiet, and in the end, he'd had enough, and he left. Right, I don't think that will happen again with Chelsea. So if these guys are coming in and with no football experience, and they think they just throw some money in and it'll be okay, it won't. You need a top director of football. I'm not going to say this again. You want the best, go and get the best, or go and get the top one out there. If you can't get a Campos, if you can't get your Dougie Freemans, then go and get Pinto at Bournemouth, who is delivered over and over and over again. Look, as soon as Iriola had left, he already had Marco Rose already lined up, play the same type of football, seamless. Okay, none of this that Spurs do, zigzag, this style of football, that style of football, this type of football, and you're buying players that when the manager comes in, none of the players fit the system. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
The other thing also, Johnny, is the investors who are part of the consortium, you would imagine are going to be involved in the NFL as well. So you've got that angle to look at, which I'm sure that was possibly a major USP as far as they were concerned when they're talking with the Lewises.
Yeah, I mean, look, if this one comes in, Murtzas, I was on Last Word last night, and I said, when we're talking about signings, that's a signing. Bruno Guimaraes, right?
Sure.
That's a signing. That is a bomber, right? A bomber is not
Andy
Senesi.
Robertson.
Senesi's a very good player. Andy Robertson, right? Senesi's a fantastic player. Van Hecker's a very good player. And I'll welcome him there. He's not a bomber, right? A bomber is a Guimaraes. A bomber is a Morgan Gibbs White, in my opinion.
Anderson,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
Elliot Anderson or a Walton, Adam Walton, right? Those are the type of signings. But I don't see that. What we're getting fed is yesterday's news, yesterday's chip paper, rehashed. Listen, I hope Savinio's a fantastic signing, Lubo. But, you know, at the end of the day, he's not, he doesn't get my juices flowing when I see, you know, his stats. I know he's played out of position and he only played an average of 30 minutes a game and he only played 800 minutes last season. But, you know, I needed to see more. It's for me, it's not excited. I'd be more excited signing Curtis Jones if I'm brutally honest. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you think about it all.
I think we've started off. I think he wants a few players in before the World Cup with the balance after. I think that's how they're playing it. It'd be interesting to see who does get over the line and does get announced, 100%, like Robertson has been. So if Senesi does, hopefully they've got it all in writing by now, because with Iraola joining Liverpool, you just never know what will happen there. He's lost Canate. They are short centre-backs. They're short of two centre-backs.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
I see this. What Rob is saying here is an interesting slant, Rob. Thanks for your comment. It's about a night out at the stadium. Angle is the stadium. They want unhindered access to the stadium events. I think that is a fantastic message, because they are in the entertainment business. We know that Brooklyn is in that, and maybe they have massive contacts in America for bigger and better concerts, more concerts.
Yeah.
Whether or not you can get round the council to allow even more concerts and more events. If you pitch more employment, I'm not sure. We push the envelope on that one to the max, I feel.
It depends. It's interesting because if you're the guys that invest, say, in Beyonce, they will get the money, and Beyonce will get the money that comes in from the gate receipts. So in terms of maximizing the number of events that you have, Johnny, you've got 30 at the moment.
Yeah,
you can't get any more at the moment. So how are you going to get more money? I'm sure the club get food and beverage, but the takings for tickets go to the investor and goes to the artist. So not too sure how they're going to increase that unless they get up to 40 or 50. If that's the case, then obviously it's a different scenario altogether.
Yeah, but they're in the business, right? There's things like EA Sports. There's lots of angles, and maybe they've seen one. Here's a bit of information, right? For me, Spurs 1, 2, 3, 4-ish. Everton now in talks with Middlesbrough over reported Tottenham target Hayden Hackney. For me, Hayden Hackney is a poor man's Adam Walton. He's technically very good. He has a lot about him, but I don't think he's an elite athlete. And I just wonder whether or not he can make that step up. With Adam Walton, you know he can make the step up because he's already made it. Yeah. He just dropped straight in. So for me, good luck to them. I thought, if I'm honest, I thought Hayden Hackney would end up going to Forest to replace Elliot Anderson if he's let to go. But it's amazing that everyone's been looking at Hayden Hackney. Was he now 23,
24,
yeah. And a lot of people have been looking at him. No one's made the big move yet. For me, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I would not be overly excited. I would be excited if you bought me Adam Walton, Guimaraes, or someone of that ilk, but not that one. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, definitely. For me, 10 million for Hackney, they can have a punt on him. It's 10 million. If it doesn't work out, I'm sure you can get your money back. Yes, you would think he would be replacing somebody like Anderson, because Forest will probably be the next level up that he would go to. Would I want him at Spurs? I think we need better. I think we need to go for better. Listen, he's a good player.
Yeah,
he's a good player. And you could say 10 million for a punt, but how many midfielders?
Sorry, how much did you say?
Was it 10 million?
What?
I was reading Hayden Hackney was 10 million. I saw a quote somewhere that said 10 million. I thought it would be more.
I can't see it's been anywhere near 10 million. Just to say, Reese, you're not including Senesi. Senesi unbelievably never made the World Cup squad, so Senesi won't be there. Danso's there, isn't he?
Danso's there. Porro's there.
Van Hecker's there.
Van Hecker's there.
So what are you saying? Pre-season, a back line of Phillips, Senesi, Takai, and a doggy. Because I think Dragusin's agent's been trying to sell him since the day he arrived.
Yeah. Move him on. Listen, he had a really bad injury, didn't he? He was out for a long time, and he's never really, when you got Romero and Van der Ven there, whatever you may think of them with form that's been. That their form has fluctuated over the last season or two. Dragusin's never going to get in regularly, is he? He's just not going to get in. So
never.
His agent realises that. He realises that. And I think he probably would have been gone by now if it hadn't been for his injury.
Yeah, I agree. Rob, again, coming in with another comment. These guys, they do things of exclusive rights to concerts. Example, consider for all of Europe Stadium has exclusive only way to see Beyonce. Listen, Beyonce's been at Spurs, right, already. So I don't know what value they're going to be adding, but they may be looking at the stadium angle. Look, there's no way you bid that money if you've got no angle, right? Simple as that. You're not going to invest all that money to sit on it. I don't know what dividend holding will pay them, because the only person that was getting paid out of the dividends was Daniel himself, right? Yeah. It was all capital growth. So
I think, Johnny, that last season, in the last set of figures, I think the board got a payout of around 1.3 million. I think there was
it's nothing. I mean, that's not going to pay them back what they're investing in. There's got to be a bigger picture. Must be.
Yeah, it'll all come out in the wash, won't it?
I think it will do. I think it will find out soon. I'd suggest there are underhanded deals going on regarding who takes what with the concerts box in the NFL. Yeah, Nicholas, it's the same as what was just said before. There is a bigger picture here, which I would have thought is likely to emerge over the next, hopefully sooner rather than later. There's a player, Morton Hoyman, Jessica. Great player. I'd definitely take him. Proper player. Strikers score goals, but if the defence ain't keeping the ball out the net, what's the point? You ain't going to... Look, it's hard to say that bringing in Senesi and Van Hecker will improve our defence, but I believe it will improve our defence from an attacking point of view. Yeah, I do. I think they're exciting signings if we manage to pull them off. Are you a Van Hecker fan?
Listen, he's been very consistent for Brighton. He's Premier League proven. He's a Dutch international. Plays with Van der Ven. The two of them play on the left side of the defence. So to me, that looks like an obvious, not an obvious start for the two of them.
Luke is announcing, Lubo, that Spurs are giving stuff away. What is going on? Luke, did the club do you a disservice? He said he just had an email off the club regarding his One Hotspur membership getting 12 months of free Spurs play and 12 months free subsidy for athletics. And what happens if you buy a season ticket? You get jack shit.
Truth. That's right. Listen, I'm paying 35 quid for my Spurs play annually. I've not seen any. I've not had anything through from the club yet about Spurs play for next season.
No, mine's still showing £45. I haven't had my discount code yet to get the 35 quid. I think they're hedging their bets. And also, what you can't do You can't be a gold member guaranteed to buy all the season ticket, buy all the seats for every home game. Should we have them in the cup, which hopefully we will. That's not available until a week before. Also, you put their top. My only worry about Senesi is maybe he could be injury prone straight away as soon as he steps foot. Yeah, well, that could be said for anybody. There are players that have never been injured in their life. As soon as they step onto that pitch, something happens.
Yeah, 7.5 million. There we go.
A single Beyonce concert, 7.5 million, 10 million in total ticket sales at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is about 1.5 times more than the 4.9 million for a Spurs home game.
But the club won't see any of that, Johnny.
Yeah, because they have outside deals, but maybe they're looking to take control of that. That's what they're saying.
Well, yeah. if they're going to invest in the actual concert tour, Johnny, then they will take whatever's left after they've paid for insurance, for staff, etc., money to the artist, so on and so forth. There's a whole list of things that.
Well, maybe that's what they're buying up. That's potentially what they're buying up. Look, they have an angle here. Like I said, I don't want to keep repeating myself. It's like boring. If you're spending that sort of money, you ain't coming in for shits and giggles, right? You're either coming in to try and make an aggressive takeover, or you're going to have an agreement with the existing ENIC shareholders that you're going to offer them money and you'd like a seat on the board and you'd like to work together, or ENIC know all about it and they're going to slowly drip feed them and eventually become partners or a takeover bid. But we can only speculate until we know for sure. And the only way we'll know that is when there's a proper statement from either party.
Because you've also got merchandise, you've got food and beverage. So if you throw those into the equation, along with if the new owners are investing in the concerts, so they'll work out, for argument's sake, say you've got a tour that's 100 million, the artists will get a percentage of the profit, whatever they agree. So it'll be a question of the new owners, if they're part of it, if they're putting on the concert, they'll get the profit, and they'll also take the merch, the food, and the beverage. So it'll be a win-win for them.
Yeah, I just I think it's look, at the end of the day, I'm happy that we have some sort of bright spark. It might be a complete and utter prick tease, and it might not go any further than this, and we'll be left sitting here of what maybe could have been. And Reese has said Spurs will get a fixed fee for hosting each concert, 1 to 2 million, plus they get food and bev and a share of retail sales, but they'll get the lion's share of the money. Look, they're coming with an angle. No one coughs up that money just to sit there. Not a chance, right? And we're talking about huge sum of money. When you think about how much Newcastle were bought for, Reese, was it 350 million? And how much was bought in for Everton, and how much Crystal Palace and some of these other clubs have gone for, and what Man United want. Hardly anyone has come in bidding this sort of money for a football club. So this is, this could be right up there to be one of the biggest deals that has been done in football, to buy a stake. Whether or not that stake amount's going to come out soon enough, Lubo, I'm sure it have to be declared at some stage, right?
Yeah.
So
you think, listen, it always leaks out. I'm not sure they have to announce it because it's not a public company, is it? It's private. So
they're private. Daniel's private, but I'm sure somehow or other.
I suppose as a shareholder, I would expect to be notified. So I do expect to hear.
Nicholas says, but I'd love to know how much Spurs are getting from the NFL and American TV companies to have the rights to show the game across America. I think that's already tied up. with the broadcasting rights. Spurs would just get a fee for hosting. I don't think they'd be getting any broadcasting rights. Listen to how we're talking about the club. They don't care about football. What's their track record? Levy's trying to destroy the club. We need Sheikh Nassim. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that Sheikh Nassim. Someone's just come in with some lawnmower or something. I'll just go and close the window. But just because he's a sheikh, it doesn't mean he's going to shake his money at the club. Look at Saudi, right? The Saudi PIF fund, the richest private investment company in sport, and they haven't changed Newcastle. Okay, so it's not just about the money. It's about knowing about football, bringing in the right people. We do not want to be a Chelsea. That would be my worry, and probably everyone's worry. But if they're willing to invest money in players, then I'm on board, because that's the one thing we've not done properly. It's just making sure it's the right players. So we need a proper director of football. And one would hope, if they've been watching from afar, they'd be advised that Johan Lang is not the guy. And I can't see if they come in whether or not, they do have a say that Vinay will be their guy. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
No, well, I'm just looking, as Ferg mentioned, that they bought 24.99% of Eni.
That's right.
Which means that they've got 21.77% of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Yeah. There's still the majority are owned by Eni.
That's right.
Yeah. They've got a small stake at the moment. A small stake. Just take over a second, Lou, but I'm just going to close my window, mate. So
you've got, in terms of the shareholdings, if the club own 87.12, so the investors have got 12.88, and the Lewises have got, so if you divide that by 100.
How did that get there?
What's that?
Every time I go, like, still putting his face on my account. Go on, carry on. Sorry, man.
I was just working out how much the Lewises have, because the Lewis family had around, I think they've got around 60, something like 60%, I think. 21, it's about 60, 65%, I think the Lewises have got of Tottenham Hotspur. So, because they've got, what have they got? 70% of 87. So it's around 60%. So it's going to be interesting. You've got a 60, you've got a 21, you've got Daniel's 5, and then you've got the rest with investors. So it's split 4 ways now.
Well, Reese has confirmed that there is apparently an email from the club this morning saying season ticket holders will have free access to Spurs play and 12-month free access to the Athletic.
Okay.
Which is great, which means I'll have to unsubscribe to the Athletic because I actually pay for it.
Yeah.
Because I love reading it. So I'll unsubscribe to that. And Spurs play. It's a nice gesture, Lubo.
Yes.
Come on. It's a nice gesture. And it's something that maybe should have done before. But let's not look behind us. Let's look forward.
No, listen. It's positive. It's always been take for all these years, and the fans have, when the fans get out, they get no communication, they get charged the highest prices. So for me, it's all a step in the right direction. And
I personally believe. Go on. Sorry, go on.
If Levy can get the players he wants either side of the World Cup, then you would hope Spurs would have a pretty good season next year. So we'll see.
Look,
it's the hope that kills you, Johnny, as a Spurs fan. That's the problem.
Look, guys. I'm looking at this in a positive light. From what he said on Brooklyn, Harish, look, he hasn't had mass involvement in sports. The people are behind him are in sports investment. But he is the CEO of this incarnation of 8 Sports Capital. And looking at his Instagram over a period of the last year, I would say that he is a Spurs fan. Okay, that's what I would say. I've seen him at the games. I've seen him posting stuff way before he's made this acquisition. You know, if you sort of said, "Oh, look, he's just made the acquisition," and all of a sudden he's making all these Spurs posts like he's a big fan, then I can understand your cynicism. But he's been doing it for a considerable amount of time, so I believe there's substance to all of this. And I'm, for one, I'm very happy he's on board. And let's hope that him with Wing Fi come in, give Spurs Board the money. I'm going to go down the route, Lubo, of him offering the Board money because maybe they're not liquid cash-wise. I believe that they give them the money to finish the hotel and potentially do white webs and these other things, and give them some money towards investing in the football. Because we all know, like we said it again, it's not rocket science. If you have a successful football club on the pitch, the investors and the sponsors all come running. They don't desert you. I mean, I feel like, Spurs have got, COVID, the way investors are fleeing us. No one's running to give us money, I can assure you. Whereas it's the opposite over the other side of London, where they're having to turn investors away because they can't, they've got too many.
Well, investment into the hotel stock, didn't it? Investment into White Webb's Park stopped.
Yeah, all of it.
All of it stopped. You probably saw a £13 million transfer spend, although they said the money was there. At the end of the day, in January, only 13 million was spent, and the net figure in the summer was well down on the previous two summers under Orange. So you could see it all going in one direction. The prize money went right down again because of the league position. There's no Europe next season, so it wasn't looking great. And Rothschilds couldn't get investment for a year, which is quite unbelievable. That's.
Well, they removed it from Rothschilds, right? Daniel
did.
put it on Rothschilds because I think they were making a statement. Look, despite all the rumours, we're not for sale. And everything I heard was they were still looking for money. I don't believe that Daniel said they were looking for money when they didn't need money, right? I don't believe that. So that's why I've sort of got this hope, because the shares that Daniel has sold has not brought one single penny into Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
No.
It's gone into Daniel Levy's pocket. Okay. So, but they have the funds. They have the funds available. So let's see whether or not they put them into the football club. Be nice to see. Let's see. Wait and see what happens after the renewal date closes tomorrow. You've had your little carrot dangled in front of you with Robbo and the Athletics up. I predict Radios. Look, I don't think. Look, the speculation in the press is going to be huge. It's going to be all over the news. Who is Brooklyn Eric, right? Who is 8 Sports Capital? Are Enoch selling out? So all the speculation, they will do all the speculation for us. We'll have every reporter jumping on every TV show and YouTube channel, no doubt, to give us an insight on what they think it could be. Matt Law, and is it Rob Harris? I think it was Rob Harris, were the two that were reporting it early doors. So let's see. But someone knew something. But it did come. I mean, although the interested parties aren't new, it did come as a bit of a shock, because I actually thought that story was going dead. I mean, the last time I spoke to him or messaged him was when I was in Japan a couple of months ago, nearly 8 weeks ago now. So be interesting to see what's what.
Johnny, I was listening to Simon Jordan a couple of days ago on TalkSport talking about Enoch and selling the club. And he quite rightly said, every club has its price, but Spurs need to improve on the football pitch for the Lewises to get their price. So it was one of those that you thought about it and you thought, you know what, actually does talk a lot of sense, makes sense as well. The club's lost. The club's been 17th 2 years running. Okay, we did win a trophy, but it hasn't helped the league position. We've got a major sponsor. It's Kumho Tires, isn't it? That have quit in terms of the sponsors. That's what's been reported.
Yeah, because we had a flat.
That's right, we did.
Yeah, finished 17th, right?
Yeah,
massive puncher.
Then you got AIA, who are sponsoring the training kits, not the first team kit from 2027. So they've got to get a new shirt sponsor from next season. I think the other thing also, Johnny, that Spurs have been, the club's been on the market for a few years under ENIC, under Joe Lewis. And I think the whole thing about the naming rights, there had to be a reason why Spurs haven't sold the naming rights. And I think they were looking to sell the club, and with it were the naming rights, which was a real plus for somebody coming in and buying it. And I think that could be one of the angles that Eric and his consortium are looking at. Because at the moment, there's no naming rights.
Well, listen, look, had we gone down, it probably would have been called the Tampon Arena. I don't know. Look, the market for naming rights has dried up massively.
Yeah,
and we could have missed the boat. Look, it has not been handled well since 2019 down to here.
Oh.
You know, strip out the wonderful night in Bilbao last year, and the rest is just a shit show. Okay, but we need to move on. We need to move on, Lubo. Sure. We need to have a world where, you know, you come onto a stream and you're talking about the football, the players we're signing, how great the club is. But what we're talking about is, you know, hotels and investors and, you know, how much money are they going to invest, and, you know, white webs and NFL teams and concerts. You know, we need first and foremost to be talking about our successful football club. And right now, we're a million miles away from that.
We are a long way away. But do you know what? That Spurs can catch up. You can catch up very quickly if you spend the money and you bring in good players during the summer. Look at United. What were they? 15th, 16th? And where did they finish? 3rd last season? Now, I'm not expecting Spurs to go from 17th to 3rd before anybody says anything. But it shows that with shrewd buying, and you buy the right players, and you've got the basis of a decent team for those players to come in and augment, then obviously, you know, you can jump up that table very quickly.
Just to say, John George, right, only one person can explain it is Sean. The point here is what we're talking about is you can only speculate when you've only got a percentage of the information, okay? All that they have bought is Daniel Levy's stake. It does not say they've bought nothing from of ENIC's stake. So all of the money that's coming is going to Daniel. Daniel's not going to invest any of that money into Tottenham Hotspur Football Club in players when he's like, there's no chance, not a chance. So we need to understand what their plan is moving forward and whether or not they plan to acquire more stock. Because as Lubo said, they only own about 20-something% of Tottenham Hotspur, even though they own 24.99% of ENIC. Yeah. So we're right now, everyone's in the dark. All you can do is speculate.
Well, Johnny, you've got 11 or 12 out of the 14 ENIC companies have all got properties. So they come in and they own 24.99% of the value of all of those properties as well. So, you know.
Should we have a moment's silence for Thomas, the frankly useless engine? Thomas Frank says he will not be returning to management this summer. The decision rules him out of joining Crystal. He's probably in rehab. I mean, the abuse that he got, honestly, feel sorry for him a bit because I don't believe he was particularly supported by this board and with the players that he purchased. But thanks for that. What we got here? Anyone who rates Porro doesn't look at the stats, which makes him a bad defender. He has been total on 38 to 3. Sorry. That means players have got round him 38 times and scored. Look, I think a lot of our defence needs re-looked at. It is the purchase of the stake has presented is in ENIC, so Bahamas law is Revantum, so don't see the 25% majority thing being relevant. Well, we shall see. Who do you think Lubo's going to be the first one to make a statement?
Probably the club, I would think.
Do you think?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm going to go for Brooklyn. I'm going to go for Brooklyn. Listen, I think they would have to have a meeting or have had a meeting. Do you think, as a courtesy, I don't think Daniel's got any courtesy as far as Enid's concerned after they frog marched him out of the club. But as a courtesy, do you think 8 Sports Capital would have contacted them saying, look, we're buying the stock. We're letting you know. Would you like a meet?
No, I think it's one step earlier than that. I think they would have had a chat. They would have spoken with Daniel Levy. They would have found out what influence he has within the business. He would have said none. And they'd have said, right, well, if we're going to invest money, we need to know how involved we are, how important our stake is, what decisions we're going to be allowed to make. And I think the Lewis family, whatever's gone on between them and Levy, I'm sure they all want to keep it under. They don't want their dirty linen being washed in public. So for me, it probably suits them very nicely for someone to buy Daniel's stake, and it's in their interest. So I would think the new consortium would have been having meetings with the Lewises.
I think this here, what John George has said, which is their original statement, John, which was they have purchase price and they have 1.2 billion to spend on the squad. Now, if they make that really apparent publicly, I think this is going to give the ammunition to organisations like Change for Tottenham to say, look, ENIC, it's time for you to go. You can't invest this sort of money in the club. You never have, and we believe you never will. Move aside for the sake of the club and its future. Take your money, take your profit, and exit the scene and allow them to put this money into the club to take us to where this club should be. I think if there is substance to it, John, then I think that's going to fuel a lot of fan protest if ENIC refuse to budge and we don't see them buying the 70, 80 million pound signings that we desperately need to push this club to the next level. Because right now, we're all sick of the talk. No one's interested in it anymore. It's all bullshit.
I think we're talking the next 3 levels, aren't we, Johnny?
Possibly.
Yeah. At the moment, we've dropped so far.
Yeah, City AM, right? The British Virgin Islands registered firm has agreed to buy 24. But yeah, okay. It's under 5%, but it's like I don't know 4.89 or something like that.
Yeah,
it's we rounded it up to 5%, but it's just slightly under, I believe. But it's been announced everywhere. Let's see what else. I think can't 8 Sports Capital look after the football inside of the club? Yeah, well, the difference is, John, that would be a great scenario. And maybe it will be, like I said, if ENIC aren't fluid in cash. One would suggest that the fact that they've frozen a lot of the projects would suggest they're not cash rich, they're asset rich. The value of the club. They have got loans against this club and against its earnings, right? They can't afford any more loans. So there is a potential that they would be willing, like Arsenal do under the Cronkies. The Cronkies have lent Arsenal huge sums of money at ridiculously low rates, which is what Manchester City were trying to use as mitigating circumstances on some of the deals that were being done by them, which weren't fair. Arsenal have been lent money on crazy low rates by the Cronkies because they can afford to do it, which you would never get in a bank. Whereas Spurs, although Daniel got 2.75 percent over 25 years with Bank America for like 670 million, there's still a large proportion of money that's at a variable rate that's costing them money. So they can't afford to borrow more money for transfer fees. We already own about 270 million in outstanding transfer fees. So
243 was the last figure, I think.
243. Yeah, I'm just giving an approximate.
Plus 800 on the ground.
Yeah, so it's over $1 billion. So, but my point here is that maybe there's a scenario here where they will lend the money at favourable interest rates only on the proviso that money is invested into the squad, and they have a say in some of that investment. So, I think there's different options here, Lubo. I don't think it's down to one particular option that they can do.
Well, the other thing also, Johnny, is that if you're looking at how much can Spurs borrow from the banks?
I think, listen, they're limited, Lubo, by covenants, right? The covenants are limiting them to how much money that they can borrow and spend, and all sorts of covenants that are in those loans. So I'm telling you now that Simon Jordan has mentioned it, that those covenants will limit the club. So I think that there could be a scenario where money is invested from these guys.
You think so? You think so?
Oh, well, I look again. I'm speculating. I'm speculating. So as I said, that's all we can do. Guys, please hit the like and the subscribe button, please. Really appreciate your support. And don't forget our sponsor, OK Jersey. And if you get down to their website and get all of their World Cup clobber that they've got on the site, and some of the shirts for next season, and some of the retro stuff. There's some great retro stuff. I got a nice BetMGM tracksuit stuff that came just recently. Use the code FIV15 and you'll get an extra 15% at checkout. So go and do that.
It's a really good range. Their range is really good. It's very wide as well. So there's lots to look at.
And guys, please hit the like and the subscribe button. And if you're on audio, please follow us on Spotify and on Apple, where we're trying to grow that there. I think Lubo been going now for 2 hours, mate. It was meant to be an impromptu 20 minutes. It's meant to be an impromptu 20 minutes, but I think unless you've got anything else, I think that's about it. I mean, I'm drawing to a close on my voice at the moment.
Yeah. No, let's hope that it's the start of an upward curve for our club. We need it. The fans deserve it. And we've got to get back to former glories. Even if it's winning cups every few years, and being in a position. For me, it's always been about competing. Being in the game. If these guys come in and we're in the game, then absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, still is a good player, really good player, and he's got a reasonable release clause. As you say, lots of clubs looking at him. If we had a proper director of football, I'd be excited. But right now, I can't get excited about anything that guy does. Okay, guys, thanks very much. Really appreciate your support. Let's hope we got some more news of transfers coming in, and some more news about this stake that's been taken over by H Sport Capital and Brooklyn Eric. I'm excited. Listen, maybe things are turning up. And don't forget, if you've got a membership and you're a season ticket holder, you're going to get a free athletic subscription. I don't know what's going on. And they've even thrown in no more £10 discount for us season ticket holders who spent thousands on season tickets over the years. They're going to give it to us for free. I don't know. Maybe they've had a dizzy spell, but long may it continue. Maybe it'll be the start of something special at the club when they start giving us something back. Anyway, goodbye from me.
And from me.
See you later, guys. Take care.
Cheers.
Come on, you Spurs. Come on.